Good morning, gardening friends. This is Vicki with Garden Evolution. Hopefully you saw my previous videos about how my house was crushed by our tree from the backyard. So what we're looking at is kind of some wreckage. But life goes on. It was a huge tree that the limbs came all the way out, I'd say over here, almost to where this other tree is. But they would hang over and shaded all of this east side of my yard for most of the day. So what I'm kind of trying to do right now is to get an idea of how the light has changed now that that tree is gone. It is just before 10 o'clock in the morning and the sun is right behind my neighbor's tree over there. It's about to peek out. So this area should light up with sun, and like I said, I'm trying to get an idea of what my new gardening light situation is going to be on this east side yard, which is what I was calling my hydrangea garden, because this is where I had all my hydrangeas planted. They are now going to get more sun. I still think they're going to be okay though. Once the sun goes over the house in the afternoon, it does shade this area, especially this lower area of my yard, so we'll work with it. I had anticipated removing that tree before it actually fell, so I had started planting some trees along this row. This one right here is a linden, American linden. I forget the exact name. It did lose a branch right there, and I think there was another one. Oh, maybe that was it, just one branch, which is pretty impressive considering how big this tree was. But it took out my other two trees for the most part. So this one right here is a peach tree that I had planted for my daughter, Maya, and it took off the leader while I broke it. So I haven't decided what to do about this yet. I don't really know much about peach trees. I wasn't growing it for fruit production, although she does love peaches. I was growing it mainly because I think that in a cottage type garden, fruit trees look romantic and they're just kind of traditional. So that's what I was doing there. So I may or may not replace that one depending on what I find out on the internet. This right here was a butterfly magnolia, and it pretty much took out the whole tree. Down here I have some suckers. I don't know that if I let it grow up from the base like that, if it's gonna look good. So I'm debating on whether I should just pull this out. Probably. In addition to the trees, it damaged almost all of my hydrangeas to varying degrees. They're just broken and kind of defoliated, looking pretty sad. But the nice thing about these hydrangeas is I know that they will bounce back fairly quickly. Maybe not this one. This hydrangea, I mean, I don't even see any live leaves on it, so it'll probably still come back. I'll leave that and just see what happens. But yeah, some of these hydrangeas were completely buried under heavy tree trunks, and so they were seriously damaged. This one escaped pretty unscathed. The one that was right next to my American linden tree. This one is a lace cap, a Vincibel lace cap, which is a very pretty variety. Gets like these soft pink. I think these are like false flowers, the ones on the outside, and then the true flowers are the ones on the inside. That's the part that the pollinators really love. this little hydrangea was a ruby. Oh yeah, it pretty much took out both of my rubies. My other one was right there. This one. So, like I said, I think these will all grow back and be fine next year, but they're going to be, you know, significantly stunted from where they would have been if this hadn't happened. This hydrangea was missed entirely, so it's looking really good. This is a strawberry vanilla or vanilla strawberry. I can never remember. This one right here was newly planted, and I don't think it got hit, so that's good. This one is a limetta. So that's a smooth type, native to my area, or at least a native R. This is a native as well. It's a, I think it's called silver buffalo berry, and it got hit, but just kind of clipped on that one side. Otherwise it looks okay. I had planted up some iris patches. This one wasn't too damaged. I do need to go in and like rebury a couple of these because it just looks like they got stepped on. There was a lot of men here during the tree removal process, and they were tromping all over my garden. Let's just say that. The other iris patch was hit by the tree and walked over quite a bit, so it's not looking quite as good. And that's this one. So I also need to come in and kind of rebury these a little bit. But irises are a very tough plant, and I believe they will come back just fine from those tubers. My smoke bush shrub was damaged. I've taken off a couple branches already, but I mean, like this one that's just bent down to the ground, I should probably just cut this off. It's just really sad because it was starting to finally put on some size this early summer. It was like, I'd say a little over 2 feet tall, and now it's being knocked back pretty significantly. Got a little lime over here that was not harmed, and an oak leaf, ruby slippers oak leaf that was not harmed. And this one is a mini mauvette that was also not harmed. But all three of those were just planted like, gosh, maybe a month and a half ago. So they were not too old. This hydrangea on the end here, which is a Invincible Spirits Hue, also looks like it was missed by the tree, so that's nice. This was my only hydrangea on this bottom row that didn't get hit pretty bad. So that one doing okay. All right, so that's the east side yard. And like I said, the sun should be peeking out. We'll come back to that. My shade garden was mostly unhit. There was one large branch that went through this way and hit my silver lace elderberry bush, or not, it's not what it's called, lemony lace elderberry bush. So it's a little bit banged up. I do want to go in there and clip back some of the lower branches. Another thing that I did was I moved, so I'll take you over to the other side of my yard, which is complete destruction. But I had to move some ferns and hostas from that side of the yard because it's no longer shaded since the tree's gone. And also they were literally driving over everything with the tree removal truck things they had. They're like these little tractors with arms that come and pick up giant tree logs. Anyway, they were completely driving over everything in my garden. And, you know, if I were to say anything, they would just say, there's nothing else we can do. And they were called out on particular days to get rid of the tree, so I couldn't be like, hey, let me move all these plants first. I mean, frankly, they had already done it before I even got here, so there was just nothing I could do about it. But this is one of the hydrangeas that I moved from the back. You can see how awful it looks. I didn't even clip back any of the leaves yet. I'm going to. I just scooped them out of the dirt and moved them. And then there's some ferns that you can barely even see anything left on them. These were a really pretty fern, and that's all that's left of it. But I transplanted it. hopefully it will recover and do okay in here. Let me find more. I put another fern over here under my lemon lace elderberry. That one's a little fuller, so that one should get some good size on it. Again, I'm going to cut back some of the lower limbs of this to clean it up and also just give more space for the ferns. I planted some more ferns over here, so I think there's like a couple more right there. Oh, here's my other sad little hosta that I moved from the back with a bunch of broken branches and stuff. Right here I transplanted a, what is that? A white bleeding heart, that's what that is. Transplanted that from the back. So yeah, it was pretty much ferns, a couple hostas, white bleeding heart, all stuff that I moved from my back patio area to now in my front shade garden. Here's another fern. So, you know, I guess this will at least be fuller. Once everything starts filling in, that'll look pretty. My hydrangea up here is looking beautiful. I like how it has all these different colored blooms. That is one of my blueberry shrubs surrounded by creeping jenny. I'm going to swap that creeping jenny and put it somewhere else because although I like it and it's doing just fine there, it's the same color as the blueberry shrub, and I would just like something of more of a contrasting background in there. I had to move this from the side of the house because that's where all the construction is going, but that's where this pot was before. And it was on my east side, and this little plant was doing better. I think maybe it's getting too much sun now. It's still under a tree, but it's kind of like facing south under a tree. And like I said, I think I need to move it to a little bit more shaded location. It's my little potted false sunflower. What else did I put in here? This one that was draping over, I've cut it back, but it was super pretty. It was a Potentilla Nana Alpine Cinquefoil. It was just gorgeous. It was probably draping down about, where did I lose that tag? It's probably draping down a couple feet off of the side of this, and it got tiny little yellow flowers. Goodness, what on earth happened to that tag just now? Because I will never remember the name of that plant. Alright, well I guess I'll have to come back and look for it because, oh, there it is. It's under my peony. Alright, sorry for all the camera work here, or lack thereof. Okay, let's go look at the other side of the house. My front garden was pretty much unharmed except for one of the pieces of, I don't know what you would call it, like the gutter system and whatever that is, the underhang from my roof. When it got knocked down, this right here was completely over this Astilbe bed. So I don't think it did any harm really, but it was laying on top of like these plants right here. Those Dark Side of the Moon Astilbe were just planted about a month ago, so I don't believe they'll bloom this season, but I wanted to mix in some different colored foliage in with my other stilbe that's in there. So then we've got our Empress Wu Hosta. She is growing quickly now after the hailstorm that took out most of her leaves. And I've got her planted right in front of a rain downspout. The elephant ears are putting on some good size. I have some beautiful lilies in bloom and more about to open up. I didn't know which was which when these were first coming up. I wish I had planted that dark one kind of more in the middle, but it's okay. And then also on the very end over here, I have a small variety. I forget what it's called, but it'll have the smaller leaves. So I guess it's okay. It's like a different one is on both sides. I like the red stems of some of those. I don't know the names of all of them. I want to say one of them is called Blue Hawaii. I think it's this one right here with the kind of dark veining, and then it has like a dark, almost like an eyeliner that goes around the edge of the leaf. I don't know if you can see that. And then it has really red stems. It's very pretty. I've got a bunch of potted stuff moved up here just so that it could get rained on because I don't have running water at this house right now. I guess I should plant it. I was just afraid to plant anything because then I can't even water it in. But sitting in the pots, if it's not raining like almost every day, it's just going to get too hot and dried out in the pot, which means it's going to do worse here in the pots than if I just went ahead and planted it in the ground and hope for the best. But a lot of this stuff here, I mean, I don't want it in this particular garden. I just have it, like I said, sitting here, so it's going to get some rain. It's out of the way of the construction people. Oh, here's one of my roses that I moved after they drove all over it. This was the, I think it's called John Cabot or Jack. Secret, stop. I think it's called John Cabot climbing rose. I should cut it back, give it a chance to recover. But this was driven over multiple times by their little tractor thing. Somewhere I have a new Dawn climbing rose. Same thing happened to it. Oh, here it is. It's over here. So the new Dawn climbing rose is in the back there, and it was also driven over, not quite as bad as the other one, but still pretty bad. Just show you some dahlias while we're here. My dahlias were not staked, and they are kind of collapsing as a result. I should have done that. Dahlias are pretty new to me. I did try growing them once before when I had my wildflower garden, and that was such an epic failure. They just were surrounded by grass and really did not do well at all. So these, believe it or not, look better than the last time I grew them. Okay, let's look at this disaster zone. So this is what I'm talking about. This was a whole bed right here that ran along up to this point. You can kind of see the outline there. And so they had to come through here with this like tractor thing, and it would remove the branches and then they would take them out the other way. But they completely drove over so many plants. And not only the plants, but like my hardscaping up here, which I know the patio is going to have to be redone anyway, but it's just distressing. It's like all of these used to be a pretty border along my bog garden. I had this, it kind of looks like a river, because it actually used to be a fountain up here, and it would run down like a river, and then it came down to this area, which was like a bigger opening, almost like a little pond. I didn't like the river because of this tree. It would drop helicopters every year, the seed pods, it would drop the leaves every year, and it just made keeping this river clean a total nightmare. And Also, it would grow algae in it, and the people that lived here before me would put chemicals in it to keep the algae from growing, which, you know, just makes it toxic to any kind of wildlife. And I just decided that I didn't like it, and I wanted to grow a bog garden, so I basically just took out the pump and the filter and everything, and then I poked a couple holes in the liner as we went along so it would slowly drain, and I started planting, you know, filling it in with dirt and planting it, and I was really liking how it was turning out, but then this happened. So this whole back patio area is going to have to be obviously redone. So that's going to open up opportunities for something new and different. But that's going to be about, you know, next year's projects, because this rebuild isn't expected to be finished until probably, I don't know, the end of this year at the earliest. It's July now. They said 6 months to a year. So I'm certainly hoping that by next early spring I can be back in my garden and gardening and everything. But until then, we're going to be living in a rental house, and I'm not going to be over here as much. Okay, let's go back over and look at the light though. That was what I said the purpose of this video was. So it's still not quite up over the trees yet. It's getting there. But this side is starting to light up. So I think what I'm going to end up having is from about 11 o'clock till probably about 2 or 3 maybe. This whole side of my yard should be lit up. I'll have to come back later and check that. But I still think I'm going to be able to use this as my hydrangea garden like I had planned. And I'm planning to add some more trees in this area anyway. Since I lost that big tree, now I feel like I need more. Sorry, I'm just kind of rambling while I'm thinking. So that's really the shadiest part of my yard for sure now, because I still have this is a pin oak, which I just found that out from the tree removal guy. He said that, because I asked him about cutting down this tree as well, because I'm just concerned after having this other tree fall on my house. This one has been losing branches the past few years that we've lived here. You can kind of see that this, on the left side, it is, you know, you can see the damage there from where some dead trunks have fallen. The right side looks a lot better, but I'm worried if it's like uneven, if it's going to pull it to the side, you know, like if it were to get blown, does that mean it will fall down a certain way because it's now uneven as far as its branching and whatnot? But he said that pin oaks are much stronger than a silver elm, which is what had fallen in the back. Or not a silver elm, a silver maple had fallen in the back. He said that, he's like, I wouldn't stake my business on it, but this pin oak probably is not going to fall on you, you know, or like, you're not going to have serious issues out of it. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you cut it down? It's sad too, because oaks are the most important trees that you can have in your landscape for wildlife. They support the most, like they're the host plant for the most species. So it's really a shame to take down an oak. I think I'm going to leave it, at least for now. We will see if we have any more dying branches beyond what it already has. And maybe I can get like, maybe I can just get like this one side branch cut off here so that it's not unbalanced, because I don't think it's leaning because of that. Like, it's probably just that's the shape that the tree has always been, but you know, I don't want to encourage it to lean that way. Anyway, I guess that's it for now. Just wanted to come visit my garden and take a look at the difference in the lighting. It's kind of hard to see until the sun gets up over the trees though, but it's definitely a lot brighter from the back. Like, my goodness, when I used to pull up into my back driveway, the entire back of my house was shaded, the entire back driveway was shaded, and now once the sun pops up over these trees, which it should be doing any moment, the entire back area is just lit up. You see there's a little robin in front of us running along. Hi, little robin. Let's look. So now you can see my garage. See this whole area? This used to all be shaded completely. My neighbors have even said the light in their backyard is so different now that that tree's gone, because it used to shade their entire backyard. Look at that. New opportunities to do something different. Okay, friends. I'm gonna sign out for now. Catch you on the next one.